So, what are the most popular classes in Dungeons & Dragons? Let's find out. We're going to be comparing data with D&D Beyond from July 2020 with some of my own experiences at my own table to see if they line up and if there's any disparities in the most popular classes and the least chosen classes in D&D. So let's start with the most avoided classes. This is the Artificer and Druid according to D&D Beyond. So the Artificer I'm least surprised about. This is because they're a good class, but they were introduced later, so far after the player's handbook was released. So they didn't have a lot of time to gain ground in popularity, but the people who do choose them really like Artificers. I'm actually a little surprised that the Druid is slightly less popular at around 6% of choices made. So at my game table, we actually have a lot of Moon Druids, and they come up to about 12% of player choices are Druids. So each Druid I find is a very powerful force to be reckoned with in campaigns or even one-shots. Many of my peers really like being in tune with nature, plants, pets, and animals, so it makes sense, or at least for me, that Druids have come out strong. Perhaps Druids are a little too complicated for newer players to grasp, and it's a class that requires lots of bookkeeping, taking care of stat blocks, spells, what have you. Also want to mention the Cleric and Monk came out poor at my table. The Monk we've had in one-shots, but I find it's not a very favorable class. It has a few situational abilities, at least in the 2014 rules. The 2024 rules have improved it. However, I'm surprised the Monks aren't chosen more for one-shot games. The Cleric is usually overlooked in my games because they are the best support and healing role in the game. They are really powerful and versatile. They can be great blasters, battlefield controllers, as well as war clerics are very popular too. But a lot of my players don't really like to play defensive characters. They just like to blast things or attack things. So for average popularity on D&D Beyond, the Barbarian, the Bard, the Cleric, the Monk, the Paladin, the Ranger, Sorcerer, and the Wizard come out at an average level. This is to be expected for average popularity because the classes are, by design, supposed to be balanced. What's really eye-opening, however, is the Rangers being up to par. I've personally seen players scorn the class on Reddit and even TikTok, but I believe some of the newer subclasses of Ranger, such as the Gloomstalker or the Horizon Walker, have really improved this class. Alright, so the most popular classes in D&D, here we go. So for D&D Beyond, it's the Warlock, Rogue, and Fighter. For my own table, it's the Barbarian, Druid, Fighter, Paladin, Rogue, Sorcerer, and Warlock. So personally, the Fighter I'm least surprised about. This is because most heroes depicted in comics, movies, anime, video games are primarily fighters. Think about it, the class is very welcoming to new players. Also, there's a lot of versatility and customizability involved for even advanced players, and there's also limited, if any, spellcasting to worry about. So it's very versatile to fit both ranged or melee combat. The Rogue is like the second most popular choice, and I think it's also because of comics and movies as well as video games. Personally, I seldomly see a party go without a Rogue. They have so many interesting abilities, skills, they can sneak around, and they also have their Nova damage move, Sneak Attack, which is really awesome to land. Warlocks are also a popular choice. I've seen them in a lot of my games and on D&D Beyond. Personally, a lot more in one-shots for me. I think this is because Warlocks are a little easier to manage with their limited spell slots, but they also have some interesting new advanced features like patron boons, and that patron relationship with the player can be really interesting for role-playing and really interesting for the Dungeon Master as well. So I'm actually personally surprised that the Druid, Paladin, Sorcerer didn't rank higher on D&D Beyond in terms of popularity. I find the Sorcerer does provide a little bit of a simpler experience and an interesting experience for spell slots for players, especially with meta magic and being able to empower their magic, and the whole ability of being born with magic in your blood is quite cool. And Paladins are really popular too. I've actually seen them be argued as the best frontliners on the battlefield in Dungeons & Dragons, usurping the Fighter and the Barbarian. This is because I think their Aura of Protection, their Divine Smite, and some of their defensive bonuses to saving throws make them really durable and hard to fall victim to magical effects. So there you go, the most popular classes in D&D are the Rogue, Fighter, and Warlock. But as you can tell, there's huge discrepancies from table to table. I'm kind of wondering, what does your table look like? Let me know in the comments.